Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. So AEW's All Out was last night, and oh boy, what a show it was. I can't stress to you guys just how important I feel like this show is in pro wrestling. And I'm going to get to that in a second. I gave a full review over at Going In Raw with Larson, which I'm going to post in the description below. Maybe I'll make a little card and put it right there or something. Because I feel like, you know, the conversation between us really breaks down in detail how we felt about All Out. We review it in full, all the matches. We do have a big spiel at the beginning about just how important we felt All Out was. But I figured I'd come over here to Wrestle Juice because we're developing something over here as well, and I figured I'd give maybe some more truncated thoughts, a bit quicker to the point, perhaps than a full podcast size, especially after a night of sort of sleeping on it and thinking about it. And after the podcast, I couldn't get to sleep because I was thinking about it so much. And I was talking to a ton of people in the community, some friendos that also do wrestling media stuff, and just some straight up friendos about how they felt about it. And I can't stop thinking about just how important last night really felt in professional wrestling history. I can think of maybe two other events in pro wrestling that I can think of that sort of rival what we saw last night in terms of real turning points in pro wrestling. And one of them is when WWF came in and purchased Nitro, WCW, the episode of Nitro where Vince McMahon showed up and he was like, look, I've got my competition. I bought my competition. And he's all shitty about it in typical Vince McMahon style. But that moment really felt like, holy crap, this is something huge. And it, as terrible as it sort of ended up really being in terms of, people lost their jobs and WWF had no more competition. It also felt kind of cool because it was kind of a DC Marvel coming together into one company type situation. We never really got that. We kind of got it in piecemeal. The invasion angle obviously had some cool moments to it, and there were some cool bits to it, but by and large, I think we can all agree the invasion angle was kind of a big failure. It was a big turd. But then the following year, we had stuff like Rock versus Hogan. We had the NWO fighting Steve Austin. We got those moments eventually here and there. And I can't help but think that, like, since then, because wrestling has basically just been controlled by one person, Vince McMahon, we had never really fully realized the potential of what it could be under a different vision. And I feel like, especially what we saw last night at All Out, the debut of Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, Ruby Soho, over the past couple of months also the debuts of Malachi Black, a certain type of wrestler. Another one we might see in the near future, Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, a certain type of wrestler that appeals, of course, CM Punk, obviously. What am I thinking? I missed CM Punk. A certain type of wrestler that appeals to a certain type of fan. And I was trying to wrap my head around it. Like, why is it there is that certain type of wrestler? And I think about me personally, just my own sort of journey through life, I guess. When I was a teenager, a million trillion years ago, I got really into comic books. And I decided really early on I want to do comic books for a living. And I don't really want to make somebody else's comic books. I want to make my own comic books with my own characters, doing my own thing. And names like Terry Moore from Strangers in Paradise, the comic book creator, really appealed to me. Man, this guy just did it all on his own. And that's what I wanted to do even coming out of college, where I was, I had like a film degree. I either wanted to make short films and then get into independent film or make comic books. And I chose comic books and I started making comic books and I failed miserably at it. But you can still buy my comics at mfshophere.com if you're interested. I have always been the type of person who was wanted to create something. Even when I was at Machinima with Larson, where I got my start doing eventually this, it was all about creating something, a community, a type of content that people would want to see. I never really wanted to be employed by anybody else. I wanted to be my own person doing my own thing and offering it straight to you out there. And Larson and I were able to build that with Going In Raw. And I feel like when we got that all nice up and running and established, I decided, hey, I wanted to do something with this YouTube channel and this MF Steve here thing. And then it turned into the Friendoville and then now Wrestle Juice. And I feel like it's connecting. I'm building something. That's the kind of wrestler that I've always been more interested in. The kind of wrestler that shows up for the first time in a battle royal with wrestling students at your local high school gymnasium. And then they sort of come up the ranks in that little tiny independent promotion in your hometown. And then when they get big enough and they stand out enough, they move up to a slightly bigger promotion and they keep moving up the ranks and making a name for themselves until eventually you see them on your TV. Those are the guys like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Adam Cole. They're all self-made people. They all rise through the ranks based off of their ambition, their motivation, their hard work, their creativity. Those are the wrestlers that always appealed to me. Back when I got back into wrestling in 2010, around Money in the Bank. Was it Money in the Bank 2010 or 2011? Whatever it was. CM Punk versus John Cena, Money in the Bank. I think it was 2011. Got back into wrestling because I saw this dude, CM Punk, sit down and drop that pipe bomb where he just said, I want to make this place better. That was his thesis back then. I love WWE, but I want to make it better. It could be so much better. We don't know its fullest potential is what he was saying. And eventually you have stuff like Alberto Del Rio cashing in on CM Punk and Kevin Nash starting a feud with CM Punk. And it's like, oh, we had the potential. It was there. And then they just kind of blew it. And yeah, he had his year-long run, but as soon as The Rock came along, it was obvious, oh, this isn't going to happen. He's going to just drop the title to the Rock. And then all the fans like me are going to stop giving a shit because you took the one guy that we all liked, and then you showed us that he didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things when you have The Rock and CM Punk, because The Rock and John Cena, because they're going after the audience that would eventually be the Fast and Furious audience, right? And that's fine. That's how you become $1 billion company if you're WWE. That's fine. You can make a lot of money. But along the way, you start losing the interest of people like me. And look, I have crafted a career out of talking about the WWE, and I enjoy a lot of WWE's product. I still do. I really do. There are moments like at WrestleMania Night 1 when Bianca Belair, somebody who through motivation, ambition, and hard work came up through the ranks, and we got to see it even on NXT, achieve her dream and get to the highest point in the WWE and win the title from Sasha Banks. It was a big, big moment. It was awesome, right? And so those moments still exist. Those moments totally still exist within WWE, but this dude comes along, Tony Khan, who was at the New Japan Long Beach show that me and Larson went to. It was sitting front row with his Bullet Club shirt on. And he's like, hey, I have a bunch of money and I'm just a fan. I really like this stuff. And I've got a good mind and a creative mind and a mind that allows other people to express their creativity. And let me go talk to these guys. And then they make AEW. And at first it's like, oh, well, this is kind of cool. I like those New Japan guys. I like the Ring of Honor guys. That's pretty neat stuff. But then you start to see what happens when they do cool shit. Like they bring over Luke Harper and Brody Lee becomes this character who is just wildly awesome and intense and hilarious and everything that's great. And then we lose Brody. But in his passing, you see how they treated the man and his family and his friends. And they understand what he meant to us. And that appeals to other people. CM Punk said during the media scrum last night at All Out that seeing how they handled that was an attractive thing for him to look at AEW in a realistic light. And then Adam Cole makes the biggest decision that he could possibly ever come across in a man's life, in his career. Do I take the bag with WWE and sort of sacrifice, evidently, his Twitch channel, which is something that if you ever visited his Twitch channel, he really loves, Or do I go be with this thing that encourages creativity? Do I stick with WWE where they're literally turning their backs on everything Adam Cole helped build with that NXT, and they're turning it into something else? And they're signing guys like Gable Steveson, which, no disrespect to him, he's a terrific, probably once-in-a-generation athlete, wrestler. But, like, I don't know what that dude can do on the mic or tell a story in the ring. And they can train him. They have expert trainers over there. I'm sure Gable Steveson would be great. But I like to see the guys who went into pro wrestling to become pro wrestlers and come up the ranks like that. That's just what appeals to me. The creative guys, right? And girls. And so he chose to be back with his friends, to be with his lady, to be with a company that appreciates creativity and storytelling and rewarding somebody by letting them win in their hometown. And it just all clicked last night because all these people made these decisions to go with AEW, a place that celebrates the type of wrestler that I love and appreciate. And I think there's a fan base that has sort of been whittled away because WWE doesn't understand that thing, right? And those people are starting to come back. And that's why, anecdotally, my Twitter feed, our Twitch chat over at Going Around has just been, even the comments here have been lit up with people saying, man, I stopped watching for a long time, but I started watching him because of AEW. And it's crazy to think that we've never seen wrestling explore what its potential could be without Vince McMahon. And now we're seeing that. And last night's All Out was the first true manifestation of that idea. And that's why I think everybody's so excited right now, because we get to see that now. So those are my thoughts about All Out. We're seeing something that we've never actually seen before. And it's incredibly interesting and bizarre and surreal and heartwarming at the same time. So I'm very excited about it. Thought it was a great night. Match of the night was probably Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers. That's probably a match of the year candidate. I still sort of give the edge right now to Walter versus Ilya from TakeOver because that was just emotional roller coaster. But that was great. CM Punk obviously still has it. You can tell the guy's stamina. He's going to be building that up. He's a little bit older. Darby Allin, a dude like that, just goes a million miles an hour. But he looked like, CM Punk looked like he was having a blast in there. The fans are really into it. It was a really great moment for him. I thought up and down the card, fantastic matches. Even they kept that QT Marshall, Paul White match pretty quick. I'm not sure how much wrestling we're going to see from the Big Show from Paul White, given how it looked like he was moving around, but I was happy he got a big stage to have one of his probably last matches. I'm not sure how much more he has left in him. So that was a lot of fun. Miro versus Eddie Kingston, I thought was some really, really great storytelling with that shady ass ref. I'm a big fan of the shady refs, going back to Nick Patrick, the NWO ref, to the heel ref in AAA. I like throwing a little bit of the human element into the refereeing. I'm a fan of that in AEW. I like that stuff. So all in all, man, I thought it was just an absolutely stellar show. But my main takeaway is, guys, friendos, we're seeing something that we've never seen before. The potential of professional wrestling to expand based off of wrestlers' creativity and not necessarily the whims of an old man. No disrespect meant to Vince McMahon, even though it sounds totally disrespectful to say that. I'll continue to watch WWE. I'll continue to enjoy what WWE has to offer. But I'm really excited about what All Elite Wrestling has to offer. Let me know what you guys thought about All Out last night in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and man, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. I'll talk to you guys later.